It was a crisp October afternoon when I found myself standing in front of my own property, clipboard in hand, checking the gutters on Unit 12B. I was dressed down, just a hoodie and jeans, blending into the quiet hum of the neighborhood. That's when she stormed out. Lisa Harper, platinum hair pulled into a bun so tight it could have doubled as a warning sign. She marched across her porch, finger wagging like I was some punk kid trespassing on her sacred turf. "You don't belong here," she barked, her voice sharp enough to slice through the autumn air. I froze, not out of fear, but because the irony hit me like a brick. I didn't just belong here, I owned the entire block, including the roof over her entitled head. But I didn't say a word. Some lessons, I figured, are better learned the hard way. I'd bought this complex 3 years ago, a fixer-upper from a bank liquidation. Since then, I'd pour my time into it, walking the properties myself every few months, even though I had a management company. I liked the hands-on approach. The neighborhood had come a long way, neat landscaping, fresh fences, those little solar lights flickering on at dusk. It felt alive, like a place people called home. But the way Lisa glared at me, like I was dirt on a pristine sidewalk, twisted something deep in my chest. She stood there, clutching her HOA clipboard like it was a badge of honor, her voice grating like a rusty lawnmower. "This is a private neighborhood," she snapped. I gave her the benefit of the doubt, flashing a polite smile, thinking maybe she mistook me for a contractor. But that only fueled her fire. "You can't just wander around peeking at houses. We've had suspicious active VY lately. This isn't a place for people to wander." That last part landed heavy. People to wander. It wasn't just about strangers. It was about Mimi hoodie, my skin, the way I didn't fit her idea of who belonged. I could have shut her down right there. The deeds were in my truck, my name clear on the LLC paperwork. I could have watched her smug face crumble as she realized she was yelling at her landlord. But this wasn't about truth, not yet. It was about control, and Lisa was drunk on it. So when she pulled out her phone and threatened to call the cops, I stepped back, hands raised like a man who'd been here before. "I'm with the property company," I said calmly, "here to check gutters before winter." That only made her angrier. "I don't care who you say you're with," she spat. "You people need to stop thinking you can just show up here like you're entitled to something. You people." There was plain and ugly. My jaw clenched, but I kept my cool. Neighbors peeked through blinds, some lingering by mailboxes, pretending to stretch. Their eyes crawled over me, but not one stepped forward. Lisa, triumphant, assumed she'd won when she dialed the dispatcher. I walked back to my truck, my clipboard filled with real notes. Unit 9's stairs needed sealing. 6CS shrub was overgrown. Lisa's unit, 7B, had illegal porch furniture and blinds hanging by a thread. She'd been dodging repairs for months, and now she'd given me every reason to dig deeper. I drove off slow, her smug reflection shrinking in my rear VYEW, her phone still clutched like a trophy. Back in my office, I pulled her lease. Lisa Harper, signed 2 years ago, rent auto-drafted monthly. Her renewal was 33 days away. Perfect. I leaned back, letting the plan take shape. This wasn't about petty revenge. It was about balance. When someone thinks they own the street just because they yell the loudest, sometimes the universe needs a nudge. I called my property manager, Sarah, a sharp woman who'd dealt with Lisa types before. "Run a full lease audit on the block," I said. "Start with 7B. A week later, I walked the block again, this time in a button-up and jeans, no hoodie, no clipboard. Lisa didn't recognize me. She was too busy berating a teenage kid for parking half an inch over the curb line, while VYing her clipboard like a sword. The boy's mom came out upset, but Lisa just marched off. I passed her unit, noting the unapproved wind chimes, cracked porch steps, and a stack of VY-olations piling up like cards. I snapped photos quietly. She glanced my way once, but said nothing. Maybe without the hoodie, I wasn't worth her wrath. Or maybe she was VYing it for her next VY Tim. Back in my office, I drafted a non-renewal notice, keeping it simple. Lease not renewed due to habitual non-compliance and tenant conflict. Lisa had no idea the ground was shifting under her. She'd always been a problem, petty complaints, fake fines, but now she had my full attention. I printed the deed, not for her but for me, a reminder, because even a landlord needs a push to reclaim what's his. Lisa's antics only got bolder. She started slapping red ink warning slips on neighbors' doors, citing made-up HOA rules about curtain colors or garden hoses. One tenant, a guy named Tom, told me she fined him $50 for Leah VYing a hose across his lawn. She even dragged patio chairs from the communal lounge to her porch, claiming them as her own. I walked the block twice more, unchallenged. She probably bragged to her HOA cronies that she'd scared off a suspicious stranger, not knowing she'd lit a fire under the man who signed her lease. Sarah's audit came back on a Thursday. 12 minor violations across the block, but 4 big ones were leases, unauthorized porch mods, faulty solar lights wired like a fire hazard, pet mess reported by neighbors, and misuse of community space. I sent a proxy letter to the HOA meeting, noting I'd be observing as the owner of multiple units. Sarah forwarded anonymous complaints from 5 tenants fed up with Lisa's reign. They were scared to speak up, but their words on paper were enough. I promised change was coming. The HOA meeting was in a cramped rec room, folding chairs in rows, a dry erase board still haunted by last year's barbecue plans. Lisa stood at the front, clipboard in hand, scanning for threats. When I slipped in and took a seat at the back, her mouth tightened. She didn't place me yet, but her eyes narrowed. She ranted about dog droppings, a tacky garden gnome, and a cousin's truck that ruined the curb's uniformity. Her voice grated like nails on chalk. Half the room zoned out, scrolling phones or nodding politely. When she pushed for surveillance cameras, I raised my hand. Who approves the budget for that? I asked. She bristled. The board, obviously. And who funds a board? I pressed. The tenants, she snapped. What about the owners? Shouldn't they have a say? Her face twitched. This meeting's for HOA members and residents only. I smiled. I own 6 units here. I'm very much entitled to be here. The room stirred. Lisa's jaw dropped. Then she forced a laugh. Well, we haven't seen you before. You must be new. Not really, I said. I've been watching for a while. I sat down, letting the silence choke her. She stumbled through the rest of the meeting, her confidence cracked. Afterward, tenants shook my hand, asking about my plans. Lisa hovered, pretending to shuffle papers, ears straining. That evening, Sarah delivered Lisa's notice. 30 days to fix violations or face non-renewal. Sarah said Lisa went pale, arguing but powerless. The best part? The notice didn't mention me. She still didn't know I was the one pulling the strings. By morning, Lisa was in damage control, YVYing Tom's fake fine, apologizing to the kid she'd yelled at. She trimmed her bushes, yanked down her solar lights. Too late. Whisper spread. Someone saw my name on a delivery slip. Another found my LLC online. The legend grew. The guy she tried to chase off owned her world. I watched from my porch 2 streets over, sipping coffee as she paced nervously. For once, she wasn't barking orders. She was quiet, maybe even scared. I sped things up, scheduling a full lease inspection, Lisa's unit at the top. Sarah's team found a mess. Unauthorized porch extension, mold behind her washer, a hidden shed breaking every rule. Lisa stormed in mid-inspection, yelling about her rights, but Sarah shut her down with the lease terms. That night, I walked the block, telling tenants who I was. Their eyes lit up. A retired teacher teared up, saying, "We thought no one cared." The tide was turning. Lisa fought back, filing a police complaint claiming I was stalking her. Officer Daniels, who knew me from past inspections, asked if I owned property here. I handed him the deed. Lisa's face drained of color as he told her to re-VYEW her lease before making more accusations. Her own doorbell camera caught it all, streaming to a neighborhood app. Tenants texted me laughing. She picked the wrong guy. Then came the real dirt. Security footage showed Lisa stealing flowers from the community garden, winking at the camera like it was a game. An HOA audit revealed she'd funneled $2,000 in dues to a fake landscaping company. I called a community vote to oust her from the board. The rec room was packed, tenants standing along the walls. Sarah laid out the EVY Denke, violations, theft, financial scams. Lisa sat stone still, no one defending her. When I asked for a show of hands to remove her, nearly every hand shot up. She left without a word, her reign over. Lisa's final days were pathetic. She packed her car alone, avoiding eyes, her porch protests replaced by silence. Her lease non-renewal was final, delivered by me. She took the envelope, searching my face for weakness, but I gave her nothing. She tried a city complaint, alleging discrimination, but the investigator, already familiar with her, shut it down. She even sabotaged sprinklers and wiring, caught on camera again. We filed a police report, issued a trespass warning. She stood in her doorway, blank like a machine out of power. On her last day, her unit was bare, key on the mat. The neighborhood bloomed, kids on scooters, new garden plots, a book exchange box. A sheriff's deputy moved in, a fresh start. At a community potluck, tenants thanked me quietly. A kid ran up, saying I fixed the street. His words hit harder than any VY Tory. Lisa was gone, her name fading like dust. The new tenant, a librarian named Ellen, hosted a book circle. The tenant ad VY sorry committee replaced the HOA, every voice heard. The street wasn't perfect, but it was alive, free of fear. Lisa said I didn't belong, but I'd built this place, not just with deeds, but with patience. And in that, I found something sweeter than Justicia Home. What do you think? Was Lisa just a bully, or did she genuinely believe she was protecting her community? Should I have revealed I was the landlord sooner, or was letting her dig her own grave the better play? And what about the neighbors who stayed silent, cowardly, or just stuck under a thumb? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button, and subscribe for more stories where the tables turn in the best way possible.